to look at the Flux Chain Trade Bot. I'm going to click Access Now. And we're going to have a look at its performance since it went live. So it started on the 25th of July. That was yesterday at 11 a.m. UTC. And so we know that's been running for just over 24 hours. Now, the initial load was 1,000 USDT. So I paid $500 to purchase this bot, and I loaded it with 1,000 USDT of trade balance, something that's going to go in and buy and sell. That 1,000 USDT was split into the trade pair I had chosen. It split it into USDT and Apertum in a ratio of 66 to 33%. And it has been trading over the last 24 hours. We can have a look at the trade history by clicking on here. And you can see exactly which trades it's been opening and closing. Now, with most trading, if you were to go and trade on a central exchange, or you were to go and trade through a broker, you would get the same data, but you would have to believe that the report is accurate. It would be very difficult to go and see whether that trade actually took place on a blockchain. And this is where the trade bot is very different. We have what's called a TX link, which means I can click on view. It'll take me directly into the Apertum Explorer, and it'll show me the exact transaction that took place on the DEX, on the decentral exchange, that initiated buy and sell orders as the movement of the markets allowed for it. I can go a step further. I can go and look at the contract that it specifically interacted with to execute that. I can go and look at the specific DEX pair where it executed it. I can look at the exact wallet and trade vault wallet that it executed it from. That entire transaction, this entire transaction that we see up here, I can go and look at. I can do that for every single trade, and I can look at time-stamped transparently, both good and bad. It's all there to be seen. This is a very unique position. It puts you in a position of transparency, and it puts the bot in a position where everybody can see what it's executing and how it's executing value. So in the last 24 hours, it has executed a lot of trades. I actually went and claimed it. So we had 149 USDT of positive trades available, which I then clicked and claimed. It would normally say claim here. I'm going to show you where I claimed it. So I'm going to click on claim history. And here it shows you I claimed 80 USDT of volume. I claimed 69 USDT of volume. And when I click on view, it'll even show the claim action. It'll show exactly how it executed that claim, how it took the USDT, bought Apertum, put Apertum into my wallet, and then also distributed Apertum back into the rest of the ecosystem. It is important to understand, and I'm going to go back to the presentation to share this, that when someone claims, 70% of that claim comes straight back to the person who owns the bot, and 30% of that claim goes into the entire ecosystem. It goes into buying and burning Apertum off the market. It goes into distributing into our active members plan. It goes into our bonus pools. And so 70% of the claim comes back to you in Apertum. 30% goes into the entire ecosystem. And again, all tracked on chain. So when we look here, that one claim action that I did actually created what we call 16 transactions, and those transactions share Apertum back to the user's wallet. So we can see 53 Apertum came straight back into my wallet when I did the first claim, and then the balance started shifting, the 30% started shifting through some of the other wallets. Everything is trackable on chain, so I can track all of that. So which wallet did that go into? Well, it went into the wallet that's attached to this account. Again, it's all smart contracts. And so I can come directly into here and I can have a look at tokens. And I need to get onto the Apertum chain. Let's do that. I'm on the wrong chain at the moment. Apertum. And I can actually see from those two claims that were USDT value, I've now got a total of 65 wrapped Apertum. So I'm being paid back in the native coin. I'm being paid back on the coin that runs on the blockchain. You might be wondering, well, what's the value of that? I mean, if you put in 1,000 USDT and it's been trading, what have you actually got out from those trades? So let's go have a look on the DEX. Let's go see if I were to swap that, what would the value of 65 Apertum actually equate to? And so I'm going to go into the DEX. This is where we can exchange value. I'm going to go to tokens. Let me just connect to the wallet quickly. Just reload it. Okay, so if I were to swap, if I were to say, well, let me exchange my wrapped Apertum that I've just received from my trading. Here it is. And I were to exchange the max amount back into the USDT value. That's 108 USDT in value that's sitting in my wallet today. Let's just reflect on that for a moment. I didn't have to stay up at night. I didn't have to go and stare at the screen. I didn't have to go and execute trades. Of the 1,000 USDT of value, my deposit that I've put in here, I've already, in the last 24 hours, and again, it's not like this every time. The markets move up and down. The markets are volatile. By no means anything that we're seeing here is a form of guarantee at all. But I'm just showing you the performance that you can go and check for yourself on chain. This is important. It's on the blockchain. No one can hide this performance. No one can manipulate it. But on the 1,000 USDT of value that I loaded into this, that has now been trading, I already have in my wallet the equivalent of 108 USDT. Is it going to be really good on some months? Is it going to be worse on other months? Absolutely. Markets go up and down. This bot will continue to trade until it has hit its target performance goal. In other words, it might take 3 months to hit this goal. It might take 3 years to hit this goal. We have no control over the marketplace. All we've got here is a smart contract, AI-driven grid trading bot that's going to execute buy and sell orders directly on the Apertum blockchain. So you can see it live in real time. You can audit it. You can see the transparency of it. Nothing is happening inside of a black box environment. The second bit of information that is useful to understand is that this little box is always going to monitor what your trading pair's value is. In other words, if I've got Apertum and USDT actively being traded, Apertum can also climb in value and it can drop in value. And that can affect the overall value of my trade pair. Now, we have put some protection in place. And let's look at that protection. In case of the load trade balance, that's that original $1,000 worth of value. If that balance, that trade balance, drops to 50% or lower, the trade bot will pause. In other words, if the value of Apertum on the pair we've just looked at suddenly drops radically in price, it goes from whatever it's priced at today, and it drops because of sell pressure, the bot's going to pause. It's going to wait for stability. It's then going to start its new grid trade on whatever that new pricing is. And then if you want to start trading, you can top up your load, or you can wait for the market to retrace back so that your load value increases back to 100%. So there are protections that are built in place for the community. So let's go and have a look at a couple of pieces of information that you might find really interesting. Now, I did say to you on this call that we would do 2 parts. We would look at blockchain. We've done that by looking at the Explorer, the decentralized